All right, so here we are, February 20th, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I already went through all these. The reason why I'm up here is to give them some pollen patties. I had them in stock, so I'm giving them to them. I'm not necessarily saying they need it, but last year it helped with the swarms that I caught. It's the Hive Alive Pollen Patties, and it's going to expire by next year anyways, so I didn't want to put it on too early so that their population explosion is when there isn't work or foraging in the field. So I'm good with today. Rough math, 28 days for them to be born, and 2 weeks for them to become a forager. So, 42 days, 44 days, something like that. So that's what I'm doing my math on. But anyways, 3 didn't make it. So I'm going to do a quick autopsy on 3. Like I said before, I don't like anything to be robbed. I need all that for swarm catching. That's about the size of the pollen patty I gave all the other colonies. All 6 are still alive, so not very much. A fifth of a pound. So anyways, let's get over to 3 and see what's happening. All right, so here we are. Here's the bottom board of 3. I am doing this away from the colonies because it's messy and I don't want any potential spreading of disease or viruses or anything. So just a good idea to do it away from your stands. You don't want all this wax and honey bits and everything around your stands come spring, because that's just going to help with the ants. So anyways, I'm just going to do a quick look. I'm not the best at this, but judging from the bottom board, I can say that this population was pretty weak. I would have expected a lot more. Now there may be a much more dead and packed in between the frames. We'll see, but I would say moisture, at least on the bottom board, isn't an issue. All right, so let's see what we got. So here we go, from left to right in the hive body. It's only a single. I would say they didn't starve, but let's bring them back. I didn't have a bunch of comb to give them, so they had a lot of drawing to do. So anyways, this was on the outside edge. It's pretty heavy. And then this was next to it. And this one is wet. And some cells like they didn't get the cap in it. So it's fair on the outside edge. And then, sorry, trying not to move around too much. So anyways, this is the 3rd one in. It's been used. It's not drawn out perfect. Again, they had to do a lot of drawing. This would be next to that. This is one of my starter strip frames. The last one I showed you was plastic foundation. Bone dry. Another starter strip. Bone dry. Okay, so to finish it out, another dry. Some dead bees. Brush those off. I'm gonna brush this all off, and it just is more of the same. Very dry. There's no brood. And then you got some bee butts up here. And then your cluster. I'd say, since I knew they were alive in that last cold snap we had, that they froze to death. This is not very many bees at all, so. That's a honey frame, and then this is another honey frame, which I was wondering why it looked like it was leaking in the box, and that's on the outside edge. That's a starter strip. One. If we can keep it together, they'll fix it. So anyways, got too cold, starved in place. Got too cold, froze to death. Could be queen failure. I'm not seeing any brood left behind or anything, but who knows. So the bottom board looked good as far as mites or anything like that. So I'm pretty happy with it. As far as it was the last one that was caught, I gave them the best chance they could. They gave me all these resources. I see enough darker comb to bait all my swarm traps this year, and then 3 or 4 frames of honey to give my first catches. So I'll wrap this all up and then we'll close it out. All right, so 3's wrapped up, ratchet strapped down, everything's sealed, facing the other way. I'm not gonna say that ants can't get in it, but I'll have it taken care of before the ants. So that's where we're at. Again, I'm not the best at doing an autopsy. And it's much easier when there's a loss and it's a swarm that you caught than there is with buying your bees. So I certainly understand that. But with these swarms, it happens, I move on. They gave me 3 drawn comb that I can use right now. 2, they still have a little bit of honey in it that I'll just set out and let them rob out. And then like 3 full frames and 2 half full frames of honey for some swarm catches. So somewhere around there. And that is good, because I didn't have any drawn comb to bait any swarm traps this year. And I'm still shy. So we'll have to do some culling in the spring, grabbing them out of some of the strong colonies and putting frames that need to be drawn out in their place so that it knocks them back, straightens them out so they don't want to swarm. But that time will come and we'll start doing all that. Looking forward to it. So anyways, that's we put some pollen patties on, and we're trying to time it so that when the nectar flows on, they have huge populations and we'll have a good spring harvest. Spring's my favorite as far as the polls. It's so light, so thick. It's very, very nice. Some of the best honey I've had. So that's where we're at with all that. Again, I use the Hive Alive Fondant Patties, which you can see that one over there. They didn't even really eat it. And that's why I'm not overly concerned that if I time this wrong and I need to feed them, but yet it's too cold to feed them liquid, I have some fondant in reserve that I can slide on there and buy these colonies some time if they've burned through their resources and there's no nectar flow. So that's the whole problem with trying to time things. You could actually kill colonies by starving them out. So we gave them not a ton. I do have more of the pollen. And again, I'm not saying do the pollen or don't do the pollen. That's up to you. I'm trying it this year. And I also do like having the pollen patties for any of the swarms that I catch, because they come with no pollen, very limited pollen. They have to go out and forage that. So if you can put the pollen right there for them to start, for the queen to start laying and them to start building up, I think it helps. So, all right, anyways, thanks for watching. So we're down 1, the last colony of the year that we caught, the last swarm of the year. Super small, super late August something. And I'm just gonna say that it was too small of a population or a queen failure. They could have absconded. So anyways, like I said, I'm not the best at autopsies. Hope your bees are well. Thank you.